Welcome back to the most professional StarCraft 2 with the reigning world champion, the Terran in the red from Team Liquid. It's Clem, facing off against the player ranked #1 in the world by Dark in the blue, the final boss. It's Dark. A best of 5 Terran versus Zerg showdown between Dark's barely controlled chaos and Clem's unparalleled control. Hopefully, this series will have something you like to see. Just like I like to see you hit the like button. Maybe even subscribe. Jimmy, no, we're moving up. 1,554 likes on this video on this cast, and I'll cast another one. I'll probably do it anyways, because I don't know what else I'd do with my life. But thank you for watching. Hopefully, you've had a good day so far, and hopefully it's about to get just a little bit better, as one of the many things Clem has done to really revolutionize the matchup, revise it, and get those little edges that no one else is able to use, is turning his scouting tools into the first forms of early economic aggression. What do I mean? The scouting SCV, which scouts and makes sure that the hatchery's on time, goes up. Did I stutter? Brenda, not game one. Not game one. So that SCV blocks Dark from getting the triangle base, which is usually preferred because it's further away and it can help defend your main. And instead, Dark takes the base on the low ground, which much more vulnerable to tank and early marine pushes. And of course, the early Reaper. Now, just won this game, though. I've seen Clem using a lot more of the 2 Rex builds yet again. Maybe just to expedite things, but the No. Oh, the perfect bounce and almost gets it and gets out, but just barely the creep tuber survives from the premier oncologist Clem, who's always so infuriatingly good at sniping them. What was I saying? But between the Reaper and the SCV dictating what the Zerg is able to do, and that continues throughout the game. We see behind this a 3-2-1-1, 3 command centers, 2 barracks with stim, and we're going to have a factory and a starport. Like, an evolution of what his metaphorical father Beyond kind of came up with early on in Legacy of the Void, the 2-1-1 build, which, if you saw the Beyond versus Dark finals of 2016, you'll be well versed with. One of the most epic finals in StarCraft 2 history. Though, if you gave Clem, though he was playing at the time, but if you gave modern-day Clem Tankovacs, oh my, forget about it. But I digress. And speaking of Metavacs, I'd actually like to talk about it for a moment. Looks like we're going to have about a minute before those first Metavacs come out. I want to talk about the triumvirate of Zerg. Well, not really, but like, you have Cyril, the smartest, the most efficient. You have Dark and Raynor on kind of other sides of things. Dark is the most creative, innovative. He can make so much happen with so little. And Raynor makes so much happen with so much, being the fastest, most mechanically intensive player in the world. Probably the only Zerg who's up there with Clem on that front. So, what's my point here? Now, how do you deal with Metavacs? I see a lot of inspired commentary in the comments about, why don't you just build a few Corruptors or Mutas? Well, unfortunately, both Corruptors and Mutas and many other units are vulnerable to bullets. And last I checked, also unfortunately, those Marines do not run out of ammunition. So since those 3 Zergs are pretty much shying away from the Spire 90% of the time, especially on maps that aren't like El Dorado, the response to the Metavacs, there's a couple different major responses. One is just absorb it and tech up. Use the Queens to buffer for as long as possible, which it looks like Dark is bringing together now. Get it just enough Lings and Banes in order to get to, ideally, Hive Tech for Vipers, Adrenal Glands, unless you're Shin, early on. Option 2 is full counterattack. Raynor usually prefers this sort of style because Raynor does not like turtling the Hive. But sending out 30, 40 Zerglings while desperately trying to defend at home with whatever you have. It's going to be a lower economy style in the long run, but you try to meet fire with fire. This is a lot riskier, but Clem has a tendency to be quite greedy. Doesn't have any bunkers around his bases. Sometimes the wall's open, the reinforcements are in the gap there. in order to funnel any Zerglings. I'm not sure if he messed up the wall in or if he's just being created. I think he messed up the placement just barely. But the summary is, there is no direct answer to medevacs for Zerg. Unless we're able to lobby for the Scourge to return, you just gotta deflect him and try to push him away. Clem will not get taken out by a few mutas or corruptors. He will not get gunned down by the knitting needles of the queens, unless something else dramatic is happening. He's always looking for an opportunity to snipe off the monarchy, which is very French of him. So there is no easy answer to the medevacs, but if you can pose enough questions, then they might get distracted, and you can get some damage done on the other side. But Clem has pushed the kind of the Overton window of Terran Micro so far that I think it's pretty easy to cover up the names, guess which Terran you're watching, and figure it out pretty easily. But we're gonna find out here, as Clem actually brought the medevacs over with 2 full medevacs of Marines joining up with this push. 2 siege tanks, and Dark just gives up on the hatchery. He's got a hive on the way. He's trying to speed up the tech tree like a bamboo shoot right now. But does he have enough on the ground to actually deal with the attack? 1-1 on both sides. Clem's working on 2-2. The rocks and the Zerg rocks will bleed out momentarily. Dark might be able to take advantage of that. He's at 71 drones. Not great, not terrible economically. Starts adrenal glands and an ultralisk cavern, which against a Terran who certainly won't have ghosts. Well, it doesn't matter right now. Here we go. Siege tanks get some target fire on the Banes, retreats back. Good targeting from the Marines, but the Banelings are connecting. He's getting a few more, picks them up into the medevacs and knocks them out. Meanwhile, on the other side, another double drop swinging in, and all the Zerglings were committed to the left side of the map. And now this hatchery, the transfuses aren't enough. The Marines are picked up, and they're gonna get out. 4 medevacs heading for the main. 2 medevacs still in the bottom right corner where Dark, of course, has expanded as well. The spawning pool with adrenal glands on the way is vulnerable. He will have enough Zerglings, 112 in total on the field, but he drops back down. And constantly, oh no, the queens! Look at the other way, and a King Henry of queens will be slaughtered. Meanwhile, more Marines back up into the medevacs. And adrenal glands still vulnerable. Up and down again. He's he knows what upgrade, and denied. The most, and he just target fires all the Banes. And, well, that one's optimistic. All right, so expect one of us in the wreckage, brother. And Clem playing the hokey pokey with his medevacs in, and his medevacs out, and his medevacs in, and his medevacs out, and his medevacs in, and his Meanwhile, the attack on the right flank. Widow mines scattered throughout the field. The counter-attack is lined up, but Dark behind on the upgrades because he tried to rush that hive tech. Oh, but the Zerglings are gonna get into the main! As well as the natural. He's gonna wipe out the economy, and he's reliant entirely on the ultras saving the day. Oh, Widow Mine helps clean things up, but 27 SCVs dead. Meanwhile, well, the massive counterattack will do terrible, terrible damage. But what anti-air is left to actually chase down the medevacs? Literally nothing. He killed every single queen, but at the same time, Dark is ransacking the main base. One of the orbitals is lifted. Medevacs are heading back across the map. 3-3 is on the way. There's still plenty of command centers, but Dark actually taking... Dark taking a bit of an income lead after slaughtering the majority of Clem's SCVs. Though he didn't kill any of the bases, those orbitals, of course, can lift off. The Widow Mines! Oh, he has drilling claws. The Widow Mines, no, he didn't realize they recharged. He's splitting off the Zerglings. A few burrowed links. Is he burrowed on top of the depot? I'm not actually sure. I don't think you can do that. I'm not 100% though. Chitinous plating is on the way. This Ultra just gonna take... Go on over there, Gregory. Oh my. How many Widow Mines does it take to kill an Ultra? Apparently, exactly that many, plus one. That Ultra at 1 HP, now slowly, oh so slowly, probably too slowly healing up. Clem bounces back to a 30 supply lead. He still had the medevacs, he still had the momentum. He just casually target fires a Baneling, picks up into the medevacs, lets the mine fire off, and drops it right on over here. The infestors, but he dodges it with the medevacs as well. Well, it's all over but the G's. As Dark tried to climb the tech tree, but Clem shot his legs out from under him, dragged him back by the suspenders, and then when he was on the ground, well, he hit the stim pack and opened fire again. He is very, very dead.
He's dead, Jim.
3-3 is about to complete. It feels like Clem barely missed a beat. And, yeah, he's almost at 200 supply. He's back to 50. He's equal on workers. He's just tearing him apart here. I would almost say some credit to Dark for going through it this long, but let's be honest with ourselves. GG! Clem with a dominating victory. Dark with a dramatic counterattack, and for a few moments, hope. But those moments did not last long. Clem with a decisive victory. Really working those medevacs too. Incredible effect. I was going to editorialize a bit, but I'll leave it to you, dear viewer. Well, game 2. El Dorado. I don't actually know how we deal with it. All right. Some days Clem makes it look almost literally impossible. Now, he beats Cyril on a regular basis, max specs. I think at this moment, and probably for the last 6 to 8 months, Clem is the best player in the world. I don't think there's too much argument to be had there. And he's only getting better, it seems. Well, his weak point, TVT, he shored up by switching to Protoss against Terran. Now, how about Zerg against Protoss? Clem, please teach me something. I don't think he's a masochist. So, I do think quite a fortuitous commentary on the medevacs beforehand. I'd be like, well, he could have tried going for when could he have gotten 200, 200? Now, a lot of players have been going for a more mid-game style. Like, instead of rushing up to Hive, going for Hydras, or just massling Bane. Thing is, though, 200 supply of Marine Tank is going to beat 200 supply of Hydraling Bane. And Dark was unable to get the sort of economic lead you need in order to play the 300 supply style Zerg. Clem just all around better in that game. He's checking to see if Dark mined through the golden mineral wall. And now he's going to try to block the third, but Dark slipped out. Oh, you dick. Oh, he spotted the drone. 1v1 me, bro. Why do I have a feeling you're going to come in and not play 1v1? I feel like you're going to bring your friends. He's trying to body block. Oh, no. Okay. All right, just barely. So, since the assimilator, or extractor, assimilator, there's no Protoss here. Clem doesn't count. Since the extractor, or whatever building, is larger than the actual gas geyser, if you have a unit right next to it, like Clem was trying to do with his SCV there, it actually blocks it. And that's the deal. And that is why he was diving for it. But Dark is able to get away. So now, the issue is, Dark's third base is delayed. And Dark clearly wanted to take that top left corner. He sent the drone out, almost got it, but Clem, watching. Sir, this is private property. You can't be in here! And who's going to stop him, Brenda? A sense of decency? That ship has sailed a long time ago with the Terrans, I think. Sorry, I was a bit distracted. Now, oh wow. If it ain't broke, why would you even attempt to fix it? It's gonna be the it's exactly how many Hellions? If not exactly, a very similar build to the previous game. He is clearly gonna be going for the double medevac. I believe Dark spotted it as well. He didn't see the second barracks, but well, he has a baneling nest on the way. 16 more Zerglings. Pretty clear what direction we're going with this. If you hit before the medevacs are out, and they only have Marines, well, Stim, he's sneaking out with all these Zerglings. The Queen bounced over to the side. Clem only has the 2 Hellions. So, Dark with almost a... Clem knows something. He came all the way back home with the Reaper Hellion. He's not building any bunkers, but it seems like Clem is suspicious. He doesn't... This isn't a tell yet. And he's trying to sell it with that extra Zergling. Another huge group of Lings is on the way. Dozens of Banelings. Alright. Stim is going to be done. Medevacs are only 20 seconds out. The Lings and Banes, he'll surround the Hellions right off the bat. Not going to get anything from them. Stim's the Marines. SCV's pulled. Will he sacrifice any? He's trying to go up the ramp. The SCV's being sacrificed a few at a time. Will he hit another Stim? He's well within one-shot range of the Banes. He's inside the house. The Zerglings are getting in. That is 3 command centers, so he does need to kill a lot of SCVs. Another Baneling gets triggered. The Marines have lived. The medevacs are trying to help. And Clem... Huh. Well, nope. Dark throws out a G. And Clem just holds. Well, the all-out Baneling bust. A total bust. As Dark, I think, a bit frustrated with that one. I don't think he means anything by just slapping down the G. I think it's just a... Get rid of this game. Sometimes it happens. Well, a unceremonious, yet not too surprising conclusion to Game 2 as the Baneling bust completely falls flat. Clem, I'm not sure what the tell was. Maybe the lack of creep, the delayed third, and just playing it safe in general. Like, if you're only building 2 Hellions, you can easily get surrounded by Zerglings, even with perfect micro. That's just not enough to deal with a few dozen Lings. So coming back home and using him as an alarm bell, and without the Hellion Reaper in position to spot, there is a chance, I don't know how likely, but there is a chance that Clem is just a little late on the draw. The Lings and Banes get the damage done. But the problem with an attack like that, especially in Dark's position, well, let's imagine in some fairy tale land where he actually killed 30 more SCVs. Even then, 3 orbital command, you have to pretty much wipe out the army to the point that they can't produce any more SCVs. They can't drop mules. They can't drop with medevacs. And he did not get that decisive victory. I'm not sure if he realized he was up against the 3-2-1-1 again. I don't know if that would have changed it at all. It felt like you blocked my third base for so long and I'm fed up with it sort of build. Because he clearly didn't want to expand to the low ground against someone who makes medevacs look like they were designed by someone who wanted Terran to win 90% of the time. Winter, your bias is showing. Okay. I do think the medevac being able to boost as a baseline thing is a little silly. Some suggestions that I really like. And yes, I know it feels like every time we talk about nerfing Terran, we gotta combine it with, I don't know, and also they get 300 minerals, a pony, and a blowjob just before we get started. That's like the negotiating table. But no! All right? What if a couple of my favorite suggestions are, one, the more drastic one, obviously. The more drastic one is an upgrade. Like on the tech lab or even on the fusion. Just an upgrade for medevac boost. One I like more is it costs 25 energy. Like activating an oracle. Or dropping a creep tumor or something. So that way, it's still very good for things like using it like a dropship. But the fact the dropship also heals all your stuff, that makes it very, very powerful. So, on top of the fact it's actually faster than any other unit in the game, especially at the time it comes out. And it flies. So, I would love to test out just costing 25 energy to boost. Because then you might get those scenarios. Maybe give them a reason to turn off the healing. Did you know it's actually an ability? Occasionally, I've actually seen Clem micro the healing beam of the medevacs. I got a little distracted by the 3-per build. Almost nothing happened. I think he... Wait. Did he hunt a drone? Wow. That was dramatic. He hunted a drone into the corner of the... Oh my god, the Reapers. Okay, he gets 2. He's still going back to micro more. The target fire, he... Oh, come on. No. Dark dodges. Okay, okay. They're dead. How many... It only costs 6 links, which is quite cheap in terms of material. In terms of the emotional damage those Reapers managed to do, well, the emotional and economic damage, because those Reapers denied Dark Space for so long, he started it as Clem finished his 3rd command center. So, the Reapers from the high ground, and he's on the right side of the map, which is the right side, in order to have your add-ons completely safe. Not that I think Dark would have gone for another Baneling bust or something like that. Clearly not ideal, but sometimes if he was on this side of the map, one of the few examples of RNG in StarCraft 2 is which side of the map you start on. The same is true for Zerg as well, though much less so usually. The Queen always pops out where the larva is, which is to the bottom of the hatchery. Relative to the camera, or, you know, any other sort of relative points. I have no idea. Okay, I went so far off the rails there, I couldn't find my way back on, but 3rd orbital command heading over. And this time around, can you believe it? He's got... Wow! So, back in the day, with Beyond's 211, he would come across the map with 2 command centers, almost no early pressure, at about 5 minutes 15 to 5:30. Clem has somehow refined the build to the point where he started with 3-pers, has 3 command centers done, and is hitting at the same time. And now, just gunning down the queens, the lings and banes. Dark has 57 to 47 workers, another queen. The queens are a lot cheaper than losing drones at this stage. Clem, going back. Should be able to mine that mineral patch. But you can also potentially drop them out at the little watchtower location. There is space to put units there. Usually reserved for blink stalkers or medevac units. The Zerglings chasing down, trying to keep the medevac zoned out, doing an okay job for now. Thing is, Clem is still building up back at home. Dark actually has an upgrade advantage. Well, he will, by about 20-30 seconds. So not a massive one, but it's something. And his creep spread looking pretty good so far. At least relative to the situation and considering he doesn't have many queens to work with at the moment. Marines again. Slurps them up. +1 melee attack, +1 carapace. About to complete, as well as Baneling speed. So if Dark wanted to get something done, now is the time. He could potentially crush an army on the field, and there might be an opportunity to counterattack. And if he's going to do something, he's got to do it soon, because Clem already has an economic lead. Dark needs to take a resounding victory in order to maintain the momentum. The medevacs will pick up every single Marine, but the third base is wildly exposed. There are multiple siege tanks, one on the high ground over here. Most of the Marines in Purgatory. The siege tanks themselves walling off. The Banelings trying to come through a ridiculous choke point right now, but they will trickle through into the mineral line. Dark said, I'm doing it again. The high economy Baneling bust off of 4 bases. Okay. All right. Might have noticed my commentary trailed off because Clem just kind of swept it away. He ends up losing 12 SCVs, but Dark has lost 96 Zerglings and 19 Banelings. Clem actually has the supplied lead. And, well, Dark tried to drone behind this. I don't think he was expecting to get cleaned up quite that quickly. Clem dives onto the creep. The Banelings are exhausted. Their queens are left alone. And without the Royal Guard of dozens of Zerglings, just targets the Banes, holds his ground with the medevacs, guns down the queens. The French Revolution will continue. As Clem continues, he just lets the Bane hit, knowing it won't kill the Marines. And that is that. 3-0. Clem with a comfortable and decisive victory in our first series. But I needed more evidence for my argument. We have another series against Shin, the second best Zerg in Korea right now behind Dark. So Shin has his own particular style. I'd say he's a lot closer to Raynor than Dark when it comes to mechanics, especially since he also has over 600 APM. But a best of 3. All right, Clem, you beat Dark. But Shin has actually been able... I think that's how you beat Clem. You have to keep up with him. It's almost impossible. But Dark, not up to the task. We'll see if Shin comes up with something better. But that is why I think Shin recently especially has a better record against Clem. Is because Shin is a faster player than Dark. Not by a huge margin, but it matters. As you saw those medevacs just adding up the damage. Felt like Dark a little tilted. But honestly, once that first Reaper and SCV have already denied your third base, it feels like you're starting off... You're not starting off on the wrong foot. You're starting off with 1 foot. That's how it feels as a Zerg. When the Terran... When everything goes right for the Terran, it feels like everything has gone wrong for the Zerg. When they don't get away with that stuff, it feels like you're even. I'm talking about feelings, all right? You can't deny my feelings. I'm 1/3 Zerg myself. Right, I have a lot more success with Terran nowadays, but some of my best friends are Zerg. They mostly don't play, but it is a trying time against Clem's meticulous strategies. In the insult to injury on that one, Clem did effectively the same mid-game build. It was 3 command centers, 2 barracks, factory, and medevacs. 3 games in a row. Never really saw Dark. The closest we got was on Amygdala. Game number 1. With the Ultras attempted. He didn't do enough, but he tried. Alright, the SCV. Interesting he's not blocking the third here. Though maybe he's just waiting to see if anything comes out. He's making sure no Zerglings slip out. And by the time, checks for the third. The Reaper. See how much it can get done. Wow. Diving deep. Gets one of them. And gets out before the Queen can really... No. Okay, not this time. Don't do it. He got so greedy. He dug too deep. And too greedily, and he won't be able to get that first creep tumor. The standoff continues. Well, neither of them really standing. The Queen methodically ambling across. The Reaper just gliding past. Looking for any potential creep tumors to snipe off right now. Many players make the mistake of trying to lay down a creep tumor while Clem is in the same zip code. But, much like a baguette, he can smell it from miles away. No. Oh my god, he knows that he's not going to go for it. It's too risky. Keeping that Reaper alive. Is he going to do the same? Okay. We're going to see something slightly different here. Again, Shin. I do not believe these games were played on the same day. Or even necessarily the same tournament. The Zerg games are few and far between, especially Clem against Zerg, so I collected some and then I realized we might need to combine some together, but it's going to be a Cloak Banshee to start things off. One of the more expensive, yet, like, it is a high risk, we'll say medium risk, high reward. Because a Cloak Banshee, worst case scenario, you fly it into a spore crawler and lose it. Worst case scenario, if you keep it alive, is it's still pretty good at helping you defend counterattacks, being right on the edge of the creep. Like, it doesn't even necessarily need to move out. Whereas, the best case scenario is you potentially win the game because they don't have detection or you help break through the defenses. Like, the potential of the Banshee is incredibly high. And it's a very, very micro-intensive unit when you're using it offensively. So perfect for Clem. All right, first Banshee headed across. Zerglings waiting for their moment. Shin, 46 drones, though adding on a few more. Playing it real safe here. The Banshee, spore crawler spotted, trying to get that hit off. Moves back, slightly out of spore range. The Reaper! Come back here! Brenda, did he get away again? Of course he did, Susan! Why do you ask me this? Sorry, I whacked out for... The Reaper gets away. Shin still on 3 bases. The Banshee kind of patrolling around. The Zerglings in the natural. He killed 1 SCV, which it looked bad, but the Zerglings were unable to really focus, and well, now they're all going to be focus fired in pretty much every sense of the word. So the Zerglings just getting roasted. He's got Banshees covering the north, Hellions to the south, and for a moment, you know, we're going to go to the Clem action camp. Epilepsy warning. There may be some flashing lights and upset Zerg, but back in the main base, bringing together the reinforcements, setting up the rally point on the depot, and the reason you do that is, 1, to put them in that choke point, but when you put a rally point on a... Wait. There's no detection here. The Banshee's combining to get a lot of damage done. Where's the Overseers? He's just target firing the Queens. Meanwhile, the Hellions almost uncontained. He's lost 1 unit so far. These Queens just keep down. Where's the Overseer? The Banshee's still getting work done. He will lose the Hellions, but he's going to kill all the Queens. So, oh my god. Oh my. Regicide. Well, the Banshees, finally there's some detection. But the reason you do that is when a unit or building dies with a rally point, it gets reset. It doesn't, it's not attached to the ground, it's attached to that building. So, kind of geniusly, it's like your fail-safe. Though I'm sure Clem would be paying attention, but if you rally to that depot and it gets baneling busted or just taken out, then the rally point will reset to your barracks and maybe give you a little bit more time to react. Now, I think the reason Clem does it is just a nice choke point here. That's still not a wall. What, did Hero take over this part of the architectural design? Is it a wall? You know, if the choke point is tight enough, and I don't think it really matters. He stims into the bunker, and with a siege tank behind, and speaking of tight choke points, Shin driven back for now. Wings and Banes coming in for another round. He doesn't have speed on those Banelings. He's about to be off creep, which means target price. Oh my god! Just pops another half dozen Banelings, picks up, heads to the main, where there's still a Banshee, by the way, which could be protected. The Queen getting chased down. The other Queen's on the low ground trying to figure out what to do. Might actually fly into a Spore. See, Winter? He flew into a Spore. What a noob. Combat Shield's still a long way off. No, the Banshee survives. The Queens will not be able to get it, though they might pick off one of them out of X. No. Clem maintains a 16 supply lead. And now we get to see what happens when you go for a more mid-game style. Shin is opting for Hydra, Ling Bane, up against Clem's Marine, Tank, and soon-to-be Mines. But the Hydra Den is right. What is this? What do you do? That's not where you put a Hydra Den. I don't know. Anywhere else? Well, okay, just put it at the natural or so. What are you doing with the Hydra Den there? That just feels lazy. The Baneling's connected! He's human! Or that was a calculated loss in order to convince us he is. I have to see it happen at least one more time. Clem plummets to a 16 supply lead, losing those Marines. The thing is, when a Baneling attacks, it dies. So even though he killed off 10, 12 Marines, using 5 Banelings to do it is not always the greatest economic option. It's better than not killing the Marines, but it's not free either. So another wave of Ling Bane. Despite Clem is just maxed out at 10 minutes with constant pressure. It's impossible here. The Widow Mines looking for a connection will easily thin out. He's off the creep, splits back, textbook. I can't believe it's not butter. Oh my, the spread is beautiful from Clem. As he micros back, Shin throws everything into dealing with this attack. He finishes 2-2, and the reason why Shin was able to clean that up is a slight upgrade advantage, and he committed everything. And see what happens when you lose that double drop? Think back to game 1, when Clem is able to just come in with another. If that second drop was still intact, Clem would have swung in and gotten a ton of damage done at the third because everything was committed. But he made a slight mistake, and that opened up an opportunity for Shin. Meanwhile, the Banelings mostly getting targeted. Widow Mines have drilling claws. Shots going off. The Banelings evaporate. He's got 2-2 done. Already 3-3 started. But Clem is getting driven back by the Hydras. Even more of them. Still more Marines. Just gunning him down over and over and over again. Oh, Clem. Continuing to drive the point home. As the Hydras go the wrong way. And it may have taken a little bit longer, but it appears we're going to be at a similar conclusion. Clem's up 40 supply. Shin does not have a hive on the way. So we see the strength and the weakness of the more mid-game oriented Zerg style. You have more on the field to deal with it. Oh no, the Widow Mine fires from the grave. But if Clem doesn't get broken, he bounces back quickly. His economy is untouched. He's still lost, well, he's lost 7 SCVs in total. I think the third base got hit a bit. But he now has actually a 10-worker lead. He's going to have 3-3 upgrades against a Zerg who is almost a conscientious objector to Hive. And now just splitting the Marines. Clem. Setting up that new base. Microing the mines. Splitting back. Was he manually retargeting them? I think he was trying to. But knowing that off creep, the Marines are uncontested. He's already pre-splitting, making it so Banelings will never have a great connection. And gonna micro back even further. Drilling cause stutter step. Shot comes off. Banelings evaporate. And just like that, Clem drives another one home. Oh my. God, he's so good. I don't... I can't even. Well, the sheer amount of Lings and Banes kept him going. The small... You saw how quickly the effects of killing that medevac drop was. Well, he didn't kill the medevacs. He did kill the Marines. And it undercut Clem's momentum. So it took him a lot longer to drive the point home. But he expected, I think reflexively, he expected to still have that drop to the north. So when he committed to the attack and didn't have the drop ready to swing in, he ended up in a bit of an awkward position, which he then casually moonwalked out of, styling on Shin with all of his micro off creep. Incredibly difficult to attack off of creep into a Terran with similar army supply. On just Hydras, Lings, and Banks. Without Vipers to kind of use it as a crowbar, or Lurkers, or even Adrenal Gland Zerglings, not that that was a risk that Shin was going to get that, then you're left with precious few options. But here we are, once again on Amygdala. Shin's turn to try something against it. And here's the thing, is these are all top 10 players. Shin, I think, ranked 9th. Dark is like 5th right now. Clem is technically 2nd, but I'd put him in 1st. But the difference between these players in terms of like MMR and ranking is like the difference between a Masters and a low diamond player. That sounds rough, I know. But occasionally, with a well-selected cheese or an inspired strategy, and maybe a couple mistakes from the higher level player, then you can pull off a win. But we've kind of figured out StarCraft 2. And I think this is part of why Age of Empires 2, especially, beyond all reason, which many of you know I've been playing more of again, on the second channel. Check it out, Winter Gaming TV. Shameless plug. Very smooth. Very smooth. Thank you. Like and subscribe. Where was I? Not as smooth. Age of Empires 2 and Beyond All Reason both have very fluid economies. Especially Age of Empires 2. With how the maps are literally procedural. Is it procedurally generated? They are generated each game. Yes, there's like a certain set of parameters, but that means you can't have your build to the exact... Yeah, I mean, you can have your build up to a certain point, but the actual engagements and the positioning, that varies game to game. Whereas I feel like we're about to see something very similar out of Clem, but with like... Okay. I need to talk about this. He pulls his mule off of mining on the close patch, because if it mines on the close patch, it mines slightly quicker. But if you don't pull it off before its last trip before dying, then it will mine the patch, and while it's holding those minerals in its hand, or claws, or grasping appendages, it will time out and take the minerals with it. So he's literally min-maxing the speed of his mining by dropping on that close patch, but pulling it off at the last second. I've also seen Clem doing mineral acceleration micro, which I think this is a case of players learning from the like unlimited APM. I'm not talking the Alpha Star bots, but the Pro Bots series, which I really should cast some of those. But where with unlimited APM, the AIs have, or scripts have figured out that you can technically mine faster by shift-clicking onto the mineral patch with every single action, as opposed to just letting them mine. Because you notice how they slow down slightly when they get up to the minerals? You can actually remove that slowdown and mine very much, like 5% quicker. So if you do it perfectly and don't mess it up at all in the first few minutes of the game, you can get another 10, 20 minerals over that span of time. And I've actually seen Clem doing that, too. In the very early game, when we're not staring at the mineral line usually, but, I mean, you gotta throw that APM somewhere. And I think that's an instance of players actually learning from the machines, as opposed to the other way around. What was I saying? Oh yeah, Age of Empires 2. I'm always a little jealous of how the opportunity for freshness there. I think StarCraft 2 suffers from being the pinnacle of technical RTS. I think the StarCraft 2 engine and its ability to translate your actions into your units murdering each other, and the design of units being very capable of murdering each other and ripping them apart and melting through and just exploding in a split second, part of that is game design. But part of that is the fact that 200 of your Zerglings will very efficiently ball up into a relatively tiny space and get obliterated by 3 little mines. Your Marines will respond to your commands instantaneously, whether you're stutter stepping, sniping off banelings, or slurping them up into medevacs. And it's very difficult to reconcile that. But the Zerglings on the 3rd, I was getting such intense deja vu. I was very happy that the players switched colors from the Dark versus Clem series, because otherwise it almost felt exactly the same. But now things have changed, as Shin just overruns the 3rd. The Roaches getting taken out one by one by the Marines. But the 3rd base forced to lift. Clem just leaving it wide open. Even a mule. Let me mine! Just return it over there. No! One purpose in life. Alright. A whole bunch more roaches on the way. The siege tank takes a big hit. But Shin has successfully driven Clem back. Roaches and Ravagers are the choice. It looks like he's going effectively all in. He's going to take down the Zerg rocks, which usually bleed out off of creep. But Shin has actually spread his creep far enough that he now keeps the... What the hell was that? He meant to spread the creep tubers, which is the same hotkey as corrosive bile. I love the panic. Oh, desktop. Oh, he scared himself. A jump scare with the corrosive bile. But Clem sending 2 medevacs across the map. Woefully underprepared for this attack. And, well, he has 30 Marines, but they're scattered throughout. The Marines stuck on the wrong side. The medevacs know what? Clem just taps. Wow, Clem. Everything he does is decisive. But just tapping out, realizing it's unsalvageable. Oh, the Zerglings. This was the kicker. I think if he's just fighting at the 3rd, it's already a rough spot, supply-wise. But the Zerglings getting into the natural uncontested, well, he can bleed. Kind of. So, we got a game on our hands. A series, at least. Clem just kind of taps out unceremoniously, an anticlimactic conclusion, but that means we get game number 3. So, I'm not complaining. It does feel like Shin went off script and Clem was completely off guard. That entire game just felt kind of off. And Clem clearly agreeing by how quickly he GG'd out. That is one of my biggest complaints from Clem. Is when he does lose, few and far between, we don't get to savor it. Now, I guess you could trust the world champion to have a pretty good idea of the trajectory of the game. And since Clem plays tournaments approximately 9 hours a day, only half of that time against max packs, there's something to be said for expediting things. And I believe this was from a weekly tournament match, not like a major online or offline final. So, but at the same time, come on, just let us enjoy it, okay? Give it like 30 seconds, Clem, or let us savor it. So that way, not everyone will feel like when you're bullying people with Marines and medevacs and more Marines and more medevacs, it feels like they have a chance that one of those games they could turn it around. I think that lends itself to the feeling of Clem is untouchable. When he just GGs the moment things turn south. Yes, I agree. The game was likely over. Clem had not nearly enough. His economy was going to be completely shattered, and very likely the Roaches and Ravagers break through the production. But let us have a little. Well, game 3. Clem can be beaten. But will he get caught off guard again? Fool me once. I won't get fooled again. The Roaches and Ravagers. This is actually the first time we saw Roaches. Which, that's it. You have to do the damage with Roach. They have an expiration date. If you remember the Stefano style of 200 Roaches, well, things have changed dramatically since then. Roaches and Ravagers have a little bit more of a longer shelf life. But at the same time, your greatest advantage is the first big swell of them, right as you get Roach speed, and ideally whatever upgrades you can, before the Terran has more than a few siege tanks. Because obviously that makes things a lot more difficult. But Shin nailing that timing. Queen pops out. My god, don't. No, no, no. No. No! No! Get off my creep! Okay, right. It's just rude. Just taking a look around. Right on the edge. He's so confident with the Reaper. Skirting around the very edge of knitting needle range. Taunting. It's taunting. Let's make no mistake. He's taunting. He taunted Dark into doing 2 failed Baneling busts, and now he's trying to taunt Shin into something of the same ilk. Why did I say it like that? It's a very fancy word, though. Ilk. The ilkest. No, not that. I didn't. Has a feeling to it. Well, Reaper, Hellions joining up. Small Zergling counter. There are Hellions ready though. Oh come, what? Nope. He just gets in. The Zerglings will get into the natural of Clem, but he's all fired up here. That Hellion lives. Looks like somebody forgot to add the workers killed counter mod, but 3 drones. Not great. Definitely a costly exchange. Now that the Hellion count has been reduced, it makes it much more likely that Shin will be able to get to a healthy drone count undeterred. There's a big commitment, kind of gambling. There wouldn't be any more Zerglings and the Queens would be slightly out of position, and they were. But Shin handling it well. Gonna be Cloaked Banshees. I wonder how much this is playing the player, not the map. Because we saw against Dark the 3-2-1-1 3 times in a row. Now we see the Hellion Banshee. Maybe not last game, but 2 out of 3. So, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if it's just how you're feeling. Like, Banshee game. Feels like both are perfectly valid when you have the micro that Clem does. So. The Zerglings will get through the unfinished wall. And an awkward timing, but not so awkward as He gets one Marine. The Hellions actually came all the way back. That's probably the biggest win, is the Hellions coming back home. Shin builds 17 drones. All right. Well, there's your drone explosion. There's your economy that you need to get into the mid-game. So, he now has a decisive income advantage over Clem. Though the fourth base... Oh no, he's not looking! It's not canceled! The Hellions drawing the attention away. And the Banshees just straight up take out the fourth base. Now we're gonna work on some of the drones. That the Queens are keeping him at bay. Let's get another drone. He's closing the gap already when it comes to the worker count. The Hellions might even be able to singe another base to death. God, just that one mineral patch that's a little more exposed, and he's working it. And suddenly Clem is even on workers. Shin, any sort of economic advantage he might have seen from that worker explosion. Oh. Brenda? No, I know what you're gonna say, Susan. I know you're gonna... Don't say it! Brenda? Susan! Brenda, why can they fly? God! Sorry, Clem coming across with 2 medevacs. Armory's not done yet, so no Hellbats. Big Zergling counter headed for the third, and almost nothing there. No bunker. There is a siege tank at the natural, but Clem looking the other way for now, and the Zerglings will overrun the SCVs. Banshees? Oh, they don't need cloak. He's up to the Octo-Rax now. Gonna try to chase down the Zerglings. Clem, he lost another dozen or so SCVs. So Shin, yeah, once again carving open an opportunity. He's got the Hydras on the way. Working on Hydra speed. Sorry, Hydra range, and I'm going to assume Hydra speed behind, but now Clem does have the Hellbats. +1 melee will be done, +1 Carapace is still a while out. The siege tank's in position as well. This army not very scary overall. Especially without that +1 Carapace to help against the tanks. He may just have to give up this hatchery. He will for now. Another counterattack dives in. Clem a little late on the draw. The SCVs will make it back to the natural. I don't think he ended up losing more than 1 or 2. Pulls back. Objective accomplished. He killed off the hatchery. Will he rotate around to the other side? 2-2's on the way. He still has the army. There's no reason not to continue. Though a bit of an awkward positioning there. Shin, he doesn't have the vision through the trees. Oh my. Shin, of course, using the Diva announcer, because why wouldn't he be? Clem, on the other hand. Generic adjutant. Fair enough. Now the Marines. Another spread. He just micros back. Off a creep. You just have to assume he's going to micro. He will get away with it. The Hydras, Lings, and Banes coming in again. The medevacs overtaxed and underpaid. The Stims again. He just goes straight for the hatch. The firepower. But the transfuses keep him going, and the siege tanks are a little late on the siege up. All those Marines, one Baneling away from disaster. Unfortunately, that one Baneling does not make it into the ball of the Marines. Though the siege tanks were taken out, and that severely undercuts the momentum of this push. Where are the Banes? Where are the Banes? There's just enough left over, but the Banshees! The Banshees again! He took out the Overseer. No, there's an Overseer over here! Queen, not here! The Queens are getting targeted down. He desperately needs that Overseer. Where is it? The Banshees are saving the game. 9 kills, 8 kills, a couple of them Queens, a few Hydras in there. +2/+2 about to complete. And Clem, well, the supplies got surprisingly close to even here, but Clem is opening it up once again. Shin cannot give up the 4th base. He desperately needs it. A Zergling counter trickling into the base. There's no reinforcements back there, so the counterattacks will be effective. But is it going to be enough? Clem already started +3 attack, and down goes the hatch. And with it, now the damage is done. The Banshees are still alive! Why won't you die? He went back and repaired them and came in again. It's still happening. Every single unit deadly in the hands of this Frenchman. Even the SCVs fighting the Zerglings. The Banelings try to roll down the ramp, caught between a rock and a hard place. And the Marines now. However many Banelings you think you need about 5 times that many. It's not enough. Baneling counter into the third will take out the SCVs. Marine attack into the third will take out the Zerg. Clem, Terran through yet again. He got caught a little off guard by the Roach Ravager timing. And a little disappointed not to see an attempt at it again out of Shin, but clearly showing if there's more than one moment he's caught off guard, well, Clem clearly the man to beat right now when it comes to Terran and in general. I think the best player in the world, and kind of unfortunately, it's not really that close. Max Pax can hang with him. Raynor, whenever he puts down his jungler and joins the StarCraft 2 every once in a while. I'm making a League of Legends joke here. Please clap. Can hang with him. Cyril has his moments, but it's all Clem all the time right now. So you either get with it or get out of the way. So, thank you for watching. If you got the means and motivation, it'd be awesome to check out Patreon or YouTube membership. Thank you to our mule tier patrons. I'm sure Clem appreciates the mules as well, but thank you for bringing in the extra minerals. Big Jiggy Door K, Mario N. And I hear liking and subscribing is still free, though, at least for now. So make sure to check out the second channel as well if you want to see even more content, or if you're content with this. I hope I made your day just a little bit better. Thank you for watching. Congratulations once again to Clem. Good luck, have fun. I'll see you next time. Stay chill.